Hey guys! Today I've got a video for you talking about some of the new cubes I've gotten. Now recently I got a shipment where I got the new F3 as well as the F1. And the reason for that was I had the F2 and I've had it for a while. In fact, for a while it was my main speed cube. I believe back then I only had my Rubik's brand 3x3, my YJ 3x3, and I think that's it in terms of 3x3s. This one was my main one for quite a while. It's a pretty good cube, but we'll get more into that later. So I wanted to get the new Sheng-En F3 because I like this one so much, and this is the newer version of that, the F3, so I figured that it might be worth a shot. And the place I bought it from, iCube Mart, had a deal where if you could buy this for $10.50. You could buy a bundle with the F1 and the F3 for like $14. So I figured for an extra few bucks, I might as well get the F1 and round out my set. And so today's video is going to be talking about the Sheng-En line of cubes and how they've progressed throughout and how each of them are individually. So we'll start with the Sheng-En Type F1. This is the first Sheng-En cube. One of the first things that I noticed, I hope my camera will focus on this, is that it's got textured stickers. So it's a little, let's see if I can... see if I can get this better. I don't know. But they're textured. They're sort of like a YJ sticker in that they're, slightly textured. The colors are pretty bright. They're a little bit muffled from normal colors, but they're not bad. The cubies are also very bubbly. You can see up here, if you look, they're very rounded, and that's going to be stereotypical of all Sheng-En cubes, or most Sheng-En cubes. But so they're very bubbly, and because of that, the stickers are smaller. On a normal 3x3, because they're flatter, the sticker can cover up more of the surface of the cubie, but because these cubies curve down so much, the stickers have to be smaller. So, for example, if you order stickers for a Sheng-En Type F cube from CubeSmith, you have to get the small stickers for the 3x3 because of that. So turning-wise, it's very light, very smooth, very easy. I have lubricated these a little bit. They did come pre-lubricated. But I added some Mario Lube recently, and I don't think I've tensioned this one, and it's very smooth. It's a little loud, but it really doesn't require much force to turn. It's pretty easy. Now that is one of the well, I'll get to that. Yeah, it's pretty fast, pretty light, pretty smooth, and pretty easy. It doesn't require much force. As far as corner cutting goes, half a cubie, more than half a cubie, but not a full cubie. About 2/3 of a cubie is all that it can really handle cutting, and there's a slight amount of reverse corner cutting, but not much. Now, one major flaw with Sheng-En, with this puzzle that I noticed very early on, is the caps. And that tends to be a problem with a lot of Sheng-En puzzles. All of the pieces, from the edge pieces, which is what this is, down to the centers and the corners, all have caps on them. They're all hollow, and so they're capped. But those caps are not in there very well. So from the F2 that I've had forever to these puzzles as well, these caps always pop off. It's a problem with the center ones because you can't glue those back on, but I know for a fact that it's often not center ones. Often I'll have an edge cap pop off or a corner cap pop off. Those you can glue back in without really risking anything, but if you try and glue back a center cap, you're not going to be able to access the screw to adjust your tension, so that's no good. But that's one major problem with the Sheng-En puzzles, is the caps do not stay in well. I think right now I've actually glued some tissue paper into the inside of the center of each piece. I popped the cap off and glued some tissue paper onto the side of that so that there's more friction on it when the center cap goes in, and that's kept the center caps on this one from falling out. But they still fall out on the edges and sides, so those I've got to glue in. But it's a pretty fast cube. It's pretty light. It's pretty easy turning. Aside from the center caps popping off, it's not too bad. Every once in a while this does pop, but it doesn't pop that often. If you want to see the internal mechanism, this is an edge piece. It is an extremely, extremely basic edge piece structure. It probably looks exactly like the edge piece from a Rubik's brand 3x3 cube. The outside's a little more rounded off, but again the inside would probably just about match. And here is the inside from the corner piece. It again probably would just about match the inside of a Rubik's brand piece. So yeah, but again, this is not bad. It's the cube is a little heavy, but the turning is really light and really smooth and really easy. It cuts corners decently well. It's pretty quick, pretty snappy. The only major problem, oh, and it doesn't really pop pieces. The only major problem is that the caps on the pieces tend to pop off, and that's annoying. But other than that, it's a pretty sweet cube. Let's move on to the F2. Now, the first thing you might notice is the stickers are awful. On this one, they're a thicker, they're pretty high quality. They look like normal stickers, that like normal PVC stickers, the vinyl stickers. It's textured, the colors are very bright and vibrant, and they haven't started peeling or wearing off at all. Now these stickers on the Sheng-En F2, I'm pretty sure are just paper stickers. The colors on them have started to fade and get scuffed and worn off. And now I've had this one for a while, so this is amplified, but honestly this started the day I started solving it. Like setting it down on a bed would scuff up the stickers. It was just atrocious. There's still those small stickers, so if you order from CubeSmith, you do need to get the big stickers. But yeah, the turning is still really smooth, although while it feels a little bit smoother than on the F1, it feels like it requires a little more force than on the F1. And this one has been lubricated both with Amara Lube and otherwise, so it should about match that one. The plastic itself feels like it's a little bit harder, so it's a little bit smoother. When it rubs against each other, it feels like a hard, very smooth plastic, but it seems like it takes a little more force than it does on the F1. It can cut corners pretty well with very little force, almost up to a full QB with very little force, but again, it stops at that full QB mark. Now, that's the same place that stopped at, the F1, but this one feels like it's even less force, to cut the corners. It's very snappy and very springy. This one, I would say, pops a little more than the F1. I will be solving this one, and pieces will fly off and explode. Usually it's just one or two pieces, though. It's not disastrous, but pieces do pop out of this pretty regularly. I guess if you lubricated it really well and tightened your tensions a lot, that wouldn't happen. But I've got all of these at about the same tension, and the F1 pops every once in a while. This one pops a little more often. And just like the F1, the the caps on all the pieces want to pop off. So as far as this one goes, it's probably a little bit smoother than the F1, but it requires a little more force. The stickers that come with it are worse quality, and it tends to pop a little bit more. So that's no good. But, oh well. Finally, onto the F3. Now the first thing that I notice about this one is that it's markedly different. Both of these puzzles look pretty similar. They both sort of have the very rounded, bubbly cubies. They both, they look very similar. Oh, I'm sorry, backing up. I didn't show you the internal mechanism on this one. Or, I'm sorry, on the F2. So, it's like the mechanism on the F1, but it's cut. So, you see how on the F1, it's that full triangular bit? It's like they kept that bottom shape, and if you look, it lines up on the bottom perfectly. They kept that bottom shape, but they just sliced off that point. And I don't know that this would really affect how the pieces move inside the mechanism, but it certainly makes the cube lighter. And then the corner pieces are the exact same as they were before. Very basic, very simple corner pieces. So, the F3. Now this one is not rounded at all. If you look, the cubies come to a very sharp point. Even on the corners, they come to a very sharp point. It's not rounded off at all. And then if you look in the centers, there's a huge gap in between the pieces. Now, many of you who have big collections will note that that looks very similar to a Diane cube. Diane cubes have very pointy edges, and they do have those gaps in them, at least from the Guhong on, and those gaps help to allow reverse corner cutting and stuff. So it almost seems like Sheng-En was very heavily inspired by Diane with this F3 cube. One other thing that I've noticed is they've changed how the center caps work. On these, the F1 and the F2, the center cap is just that. It's a... If you look, I don't know if you can see the little line, but you can see the seam there, and like the whole top piece comes off. That's not how it works on the F3. On the F3, I don't know if you are going to be able to see this, but you see those little divots in the corners? Not the little gaps in between the pieces there, not that. But if you look really closely on that corner, you'll see a little gap. Yeah, that is so that you can get the centerpiece off. The centerpiece on these puppies, or on the F3, I don't know what the point of that was. If I can get it off. Seriously, on camera, you're going to be difficult. It wouldn't be this difficult for a normal person. I just bite my fingernails, so I don't really have anything to pry it with. So on this, it is really just a plate that sits in that little hole, and that makes it a lot harder for it to pop off. These almost never pop out because they snap into place. However, what it makes up for in not having the center caps pop off, it more than makes up for in having all of the rest of the cubies pop off. I honestly cannot say it enough. I did some averages before to try and see which cube was faster, which cube I liked more, and just to get a feel of each cube before I did this video. I'm not exaggerating. This F3 cube popped 3.5, 4 dozen times. It literally took me almost 2 hours to get through an average of 12 solves with this cube because it would pop every single time. I would try and be gentle and go slower, and not only would that slow my time down, but it would still pop on an algorithm. I would try and go fast, and it would pop. I would, try and be really exact with my turns, it would pop. I would stop using finger tricks and just use my hands, it would pop. It literally pops all the time. Now, I could tension this tighter a little bit, I suppose. It doesn't feel like it's too loose. Like, the puzzle itself feels pretty well held together. It doesn't feel like as I'm turning it, it's going to come apart. It feels pretty fine. It just seems like the pieces, for some reason or another, just don't want to stay together, and it just pops all the time. Literally, words cannot describe how frustrated I was when I was trying to do the average of 12 with this F3. It was horrible. I'm going to do some outside research and look up other videos, tweak this a bit, see if I can tension it or if I need to modify some pieces or something. But right now, in its current state, it is awful. I don't know if other people have had this problem. Again, like I said, I'm going to do research and look at other videos of it and see. But right now, this cube is horrible. So it does pop pieces a lot. Let's look at the internal mechanism. It's a little different than the F2. If you'll remember, on the F1 and the F2, they're very basic internal design. On the F2, they cut it off. Well, on this one, it is a little different. That center stalk looks to be a little bit smaller. And then one thing I've noticed is that the interior pieces have a little, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because it's white plastic, but there's a little notch cut out there. You see that? Yeah. On the other side, it's hollow. But on that side, there's a little notch cut out. That's new. No, it's not. I lied to you. I'm sorry. There's a notch on the other one. There's a notch on the F2. So really, these aren't much different. They're just a little more curvy and a little bit lighter weight. It feels like it's a different kind of plastic, though. Like, this is also lubricated just like those are. And these, this is very airy, very light, and it turns super smoothly. This still turns pretty smoothly and pretty lightly. It has a little more of a different feel. This feels a little bit more glossy, a little bit more like it's harder, smoother plastic. This feels like it's soft plastic that's all gummy. So it doesn't want to turn smoothly in terms of the feel of the plastic rubbing on the plastic. And then in terms of the pieces rubbing or going past the pieces, you can hear how jumpy and clicky that is and how difficult and slowly it turns. It doesn't turn very well at all. It almost wants to be set up like, it almost wants to turn into being like that position. And that's where it feels most secure. Whereas most cubes sort of tend to feel like they want to be in that position, and that is just not all the way finished. This one will like turn and then stop there, almost. It's like there's some pressure there. And then when it is there, it just wants to explode. And another problem with this one. I'm sorry, this really isn't supposed to be a rant about the F3, but I'm just really frustrated with it right now. Whereas the F1 pops every once in a while, and the F2 pops a little more often than that. This pops all the time, but that's not the only difference. When the F1 and the F2 pop, one piece pops. When this F3 pops, the cube literally explodes. I had half the cube, 12 pieces, 13 pieces, fly all in different directions across my room, and it would take me 2 minutes to reassemble it. It's just depressing. So all in all, this cube really, it doesn't turn very smoothly or loosely or nicely. The stickers, oh, I didn't talk about the stickers. They're smooth stickers, unlike the F1, so they're not textured, but they do not scuff as easily as the F2 stickers are. They seem like they're a little bit higher quality stickers. They might just be paper stickers with better plastic laminate over them. I'm not sure why they wouldn't stick with the vinyl stickers they seem to have used on the F1, but that's what they did. So, yeah, so the stickers are okay. The colors are okay. They're sort of drab, sort of muffled. But, so yeah, the turning is not very good. The stickers are okay. The construction seems very, at least from the outside, like it was inspired heavily by Diane. It doesn't seem to pop caps very much, either on the center or on the outside. In fact, I think the pieces now no longer have caps. Yeah, I believe the edges and the corners no longer have caps, which is nice. So it doesn't pop caps anymore, which was a major problem with these sometimes. But what it does do is pop cubies, and it just does it so much that at its current state, I can't recommend this cube. It's awful. Again, I'll research it and see if I can make it better. But right now, I mean, like, you just go to turn it and it explodes everywhere. It just does not want to stay together. It's really frustrating. So if I had to pick one out of these 3 cubes, I would probably actually go with the F1. Just because it turns super smoothly and it feels like it's held together really well. It almost never pops, like I said, and it requires very, very little force to turn. So it's honestly just the best feeling cube. After that is the F2. It's still a very smooth feeling cube, but it just feels like it requires a little bit more force to turn, and it does pop a little more often, plus the stickers are really bad. And then last but not least would be the F3. It does not stay together, it pops all the time, and even when it's held together, the turning is not very high quality. So I'm not really sure if I'm just weird, if my cubes are messed up, or if Sheng-En just went backwards every time. But if I had to recommend one, I would recommend probably the F1 or the F2. Alright, I'm sorry if this video got a little long. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is something that I've been planning on doing for a while, and I've been thinking about doing in the future, doing a spotlight series where in each video I talk about a specific cubing company or a specific line of cubes. So if you guys like this, let me know what you think. If you think I can do something better, let me know about that too. I know I got a little talky and it went a little long-winded. Plus, again, because I have my webcam and not my digital camera, this is not the best viewing setup, but I'm sorry about that. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and if you leave comments below, that would be much appreciated. Thank you so much. Bye.